So let's get started now. As I said, if you just want to say something, disagree with what is being said, or ask questions, just feel free to jump in. Here's the plan for today. I'll just give a short introduction about the OECD for those of you who are not familiar with the work, and then we'll get into the topic and we'll discuss three things. We'll discuss what is AI, why it is important today, and of course some things that the OECD is doing to help governments around the world with this issue. So let's jump right into it. What is the OECD? I guess does anyone here know what the OECD is? Would you like to chip in? Anyone? No one knows what the OECD is. Come on. No? Okay, I can say it. So can I ask your age? Is there someone below 15 here today?
Yeah, I'm 14.
14. Are you the youngest?
I believe so.
Okay.
Is there anyone here below 14?
No. Okay. Perfect. So I think I can go. I can give you a high-level explanation of the OECD, which stands for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It's an international organization that works basically to build better policies for better lives, and it sounds very nice and fancy. In lay terms, what we do is we provide advice to help governments create policies and do things that can improve the lives of their citizens, basically our lives. The OECD was created over 60 years ago, I believe, and the idea back then was to help rebuild Europe, the continent, after the Second World War, and to do so, through the economy and trade and peace. So to put it simply, you can think of the OECD as a sort of United Nations for economic and technical matters. We're a lot smaller, but still, that's more or less, I think, a fair analogy. Are there any questions on what the OECD is or what we do in general? No questions. So let's start with the cool stuff now. I hope it's the cool stuff. So does anyone know what AI actually is? Here you need to, I mean, you can't say no. You can't, you have to have a notion of AI.
Yeah, can I answer?
Yes, go ahead.
So, I believe AI is a technology that was developed a few years ago by humans, and it's a self-learning technology that can actually learn from its mistakes and from trials and information we put in it, and we can actually program it to have certain reactions. But those reactions, it actually thinks itself about those reactions. We can tell him maybe react. I don't know, react. In English, maybe, or react in a certain way, and it will react in a certain way, but we won't have to specify how it reacts. It actually have its own set of reactions that it develops over time.
All right. I think that was pretty complete. Congrats. That was a very good answer. So you mentioned a lot of things. You mentioned autonomy, basically like learning as it goes. You mentioned things like reactions, so getting some inputs and then reacting to those inputs in different ways. So basically, it could be through making recommendations to the user, or moving in one way or another, or providing text and answer or something. So I mean, you covered a lot of ground. Is this AI by any chance?
It's a vision of it.
Yeah, exactly. So there has been a lot of sci-fi movies and of course books about AI. Here I just put some of the most famous ones, and most of them probably precede your time on this earth. and I'm sorry about that, but at least this shows that the fascination about AI is, well, not new. So in any case, here you see Skynet from the Terminator saga. You see, so basically Skynet was the bad guy, and it was an artificial intelligence that was trying to kill or destroy the world. It looks pretty terrible. Then, of course, we got The Matrix, Star Wars, you know, with the little droids, and that they had some kind of voice recognition and computer vision and all these things. And of course, Wall-E, that you may be more familiar with because it's more, I would say, less old. So again, AI has been around in popular culture for quite a long time, even if it doesn't, we don't really realize it, and we think it's a new phenomenon. I guess I just wanna try to do an exercise with you and see if we can have a look into the future. And if you've seen these movies, can you tell me, are we far off from what Eva said, this vision of AI? Are we close? Are we far off? Or are they, you know, are they already developed? What do you think?
May I speak?
Go ahead.
I think I mean, the vision is quite not very realistic, I'd say, because most people would think that AI would take over the world out of fear because they're not very, I mean, they wouldn't exactly know what AI is and would just think, oh, it's a new thing, it must be scary, because humans have a history of fearing what they do not know. And I think that these movies are also quite a reflection of that.
Yeah, and you know what? It feels like the fear has been growing lately. Basically, I guess after the advent of ChatGPT, AI has been covered a lot by the media and by other sources. So it feels like now a lot of people are talking about catastrophic risks and existential risks and all kinds of things that I mean, it's important to consider, but I don't think we should let that instill fear in society, right? And I think you've got a point there. Let me show you how the OECD defines an AI system, and I won't go much into detail here. So just to say, you can forget the text for now, and just look at the diagram below, and you can see that an AI system consists of a model that it's basically an algorithm, or you can think of computer code, for instance, that takes some data, takes some inputs, and uses that data or inputs to generate outputs in the form of what we were saying before: predictions, recommendations, you know, text, content, images, other things. And it does this in an automatic way. Now, Eva mentioned that some AI systems do learn. That's true. Today, that's more or less the rule rather than the exception. Before the current machine learning revolution, AI systems did not really learn by themselves. They had to be trained by experts, right? So we call them expert systems, but they were still AI. So if you think, I don't know if you remember, you don't remember, but I don't know if you've heard of the Deep Blue machine. Have you ever heard of the Deep Blue? No. So Deep Blue was a machine developed by IBM in the 1990s, and it was the first machine that was able to beat the world's chess expert. It's a Russian. He's still alive. His name is Kasparov, and for the first time, a machine was able to beat Kasparov. So that was Deep Blue. That was an AI system. It was just programmed by a lot of experts and with a lot of rules. Like if he moves this, you do this. If he moves that, you do that. You know. So it was still AI, but it wasn't learning as it went. But anyway, just to mention that. Let me now move to the second question that we had in the agenda. So the second question was, you know, why should we care about AI? You may be thinking, I mean, this is interesting, but you know, why is it important? Why does it matter? Why do we even talk about it at 7:30 at night? You know, we could be doing something else. So what do you think? Why are we?
Why
do we care?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have to care because AI, like any technology, it's neither inherently good or bad. It only depends on how we use it. And in order to use it well, in order to use it to maximize its functions without actually, putting humanity in peril, we have to know about it. And I think that's why it's really important to actually inform ourselves about this technology.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. Basically, we need to maximize the benefits and minimize the risks. It's technology is not. I mean, it's neutral. We can make good things and we can make bad things like any other tool. So it provides a lot of benefits, and you'll recognize some of these. Like who isn't happy about all these things that you can do with AI? Like I imagine some of you can unlock your phones with Face ID, and that's quite convenient and nice to do. I remember the time when I had to type in a code, and when I was waking up, I always struggled to type it in. But so it's convenient. We're able now to identify tumors using image recognition that before wasn't possible. Now we're doing it in very early stages thanks to AI. You've probably used AI apps to learn new languages like Duolingo that personalize your learning a little bit. Maps, like avoiding traffic at a certain hour, conversational items like Alexa and others. Like there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of benefits to society. I don't know if anyone recognizes these apps. I had to leave them to the second slide. I guess you've used them, right? I mean, everyone knows these apps: Instagram, Netflix, Spotify, TikTok. People enjoy them. It's very nice that they can recommend you, I don't know, posts, videos, songs, movies, images, even before you even know that you like them, right? So sometimes we're surprised. We're like, how did it know that I would like this song? How did it know that I would like this movie or this connection? Well, as you know, they're using AI algorithms that basically tell you what you should consume based on your previous history and what people similar to you, to your age, to your gender, to your geographical space and other things, what they're consuming as well. So this is super nice. This is very nice. And the thing is that it could also be dangerous in a way because it for many reasons, but one of them is that it risks creating an echo chamber. Do you know what an echo chamber is? Clementine? You were nodding.
Yeah, I wanted to like generally leave the questions for other people, but an echo chamber I think is generally where like in the instance of social media, for example, is you're getting like your entire feed is simply things that you agree with. And so you're going to be kind of stuck in this space where all of the information that you're receiving is simply confirmation bias and it's confirming what you already know and not letting you kind of expand your horizons, which they do that on purpose so that you keep interacting and using those apps.
Yeah, and actually, can I add something on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that actually is this, when people think about social media, they think, oh yeah, we have so much different opinions, and that's what creates clashes. That's not true. We actually create clashes in our modern society because we just saw that on social media, you actually are more likely to find things that you agree with. What actually creates clashes is the fact that we are now with globalization and everything like this. We are now in our everyday life, for example, at school, on the street, we see opinions that we don't actually agree with. And so that's why people are actually that's one of the reasons why people are actually so drawn to actual Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, because they actually know subconsciously, they know that they're actually going to find things that they agree with. And even if they don't actually really, really agree with, it's things that they will want to see. So that's also one of the actual, let's say, bad things about social media.
So it not only like puts you in it only recommends content that reflects your own beliefs and ideas, and maybe rejects other people's views, but it could also put on you in your way. It could also give you content that will just polarize society, right? Like put people on different sides, opposing views, and just polarize societies in a way. Yeah, so that's what it is. So I just wanted to say that you know this already, but we need to be a bit careful with the way we use this technology. And since we're starting to talk about risks, we saw the opportunities. Now we also need to recognize that there are some risks to societies that AI brings. And we just mentioned the echo chambers, but there are many more, such as manipulation. We said polarization of opinions at scale, discrimination, disinformation, and a lot of other things. So you may be wondering, what is this? What is this graph? You know, what you're seeing here are the number of incidents related to AI that have been reported in the news over time. So you won't be surprised to see that the number of AI incidents is increasing very quickly over time, and this has basically exploded after the rise of generative AI. Not only because, well, of course, because there's some hype, so news are talking about it more and more, but also because we're all using it more and more. After ChatGPT, we all, like a lot of us, realize what AI really means, what the risks are. So we're using it more. Therefore, there are more possibilities to create harms, to create risks, and so the incidents are increasing very rapidly. And this is also why we should care about AI. I'll just give a couple of yeah. Go ahead.
What do you mean by like incidents? Like.
So that's a good question. We have an expert group that is defining what an incident means, but basically here what we're seeing is not only incidents that actually result in harm to people, like someone gets injured, or someone's reputation is damaged, and so on, but also hazards. So you can see hazards like I don't know, this algorithm from this social network is biased. It didn't cause any harm, but it could cause harm in the future, right? So you've got hazards, which are potential harm, and then incidents that are actual harms. And they could be very serious, like an autonomous vehicle crashing and killing someone, or they could just be, as I said, reputational harms that are, I don't know, like the Pope wearing the Balenciaga jacket, right? That's a hazard. It didn't cause any harm, but it's a deep fake that could result, if not controlled, it could damage a lot of people's reputation. So I'll just show a couple of examples here.
Sorry, just one more question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that like on the graph I saw underneath, one of the lines was normalized incidents. And I was just wondering what the word normalized meant in this situation.
So that means, so we take the average. So we take 3 months, and we take the average of those 3 months, because otherwise you see a lot of peaks, ups and downs. Like the red line is the real data, and then we show the blue line, which is like the trend, right? Like the trend, the average, 3 month moving average. So good question. Now going back to this, we see, I don't know if you saw this news about the French government fining Amazon France for basically implementing some kind of AI that was surveying employees, and monitoring their movements. And you know, how would you feel if you were a worker somewhere in a factory and you couldn't even get up and go to the restroom, for instance, because then the system would say, you know, you need to come back, you need to get to work, you haven't moved, you haven't produced as much as you should per hour, you know. So this kind of bad practices are happening today. Yes, they increase productivity, but at what cost? Okay, so this is one incident that you can find, and I'll talk about where to find these incidents in a minute. Another incident, I mentioned autonomous vehicles, where you know, the AI systems in the vehicles may not work as they're designed to work, and that could put people in trouble in an unsafe environment. So again, how would you feel if you would pay a lot for one of these cars and then it didn't work and it crashes and you get injured or you kill someone or something happens? That's, who's liable? Is it you because you bought the car and you were driving it, quote unquote, or is it the company? How do you determine liability? Eva, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so let's talk about actually something that happened, I think it was a few weeks, maybe months ago. So it was, those self-driving cars powered by AI that are starting to emerge in a few places around the US. Well, one of those cars was actually stopped by a police officer for some reason. And so the police officer, he went and he saw that there was actually no one in the conductor's seat. So then he went away. He went, to talk about it to his actual colleague, and the car actually sped away because she thought that the altercation was over. And so then the police car had to, run back to it. But that only shows that AI, however powerful it might be, it still actually has flaws. And that can really result to those kind of, let's say, funny altercations with when we actually see it, because some people usually don't expect when they stop a car to see that there is no driver inside.
Yeah, and that was a very funny incident because people were recording the policeman as he was trying to get into the car and trying to open the door. Nothing would open, like knocking on the windows if it would roll down automatically, trying to just do something about it, and then picking up the phone and calling the police station, and then the car moves and everyone is laughing at him. So that was a funny incident. But you're right. I mean, they're not perfect. They're not perfect. There is huge potential, and a lot of the advancements are very impressive, and that's what's impressive about this is the speed of development. But we're not at perfection yet. So to show you the last example, and this one is about again this about deep fakes and how people are using AI to create harmful content online and using images from children to do bad stuff, right? So I think this only means that we should all be very careful about the images we post online because they can be manipulated by bad people. And I just wanted to show this one. And before I move to the next section, are there any questions or comments so far? No. Okay. So the last big question that we'll cover today is, you can hear the drums. What should we do about AI? So we already saw that AI brings a lot of benefits, but also some risks. We talked about what we mean by AI, and I guess the question now is, how can we make sure that we can harness all the benefits and at the same time mitigate the risks or prevent the risks from happening? So if you were, and this is an open question, if you were a prime minister or a country's president, which some of you may become in some time, what would you do? What initiatives would you take? What kind of laws would you propose? Just very quickly, some ideas. Eva.
Okay, so first of all, I would encourage to actually, promote the learning and knowledge of AI, but I wouldn't allow this for everyone. I wouldn't allow, for example, someone who might have bad intentions to actually access AI and do something bad about it. That's a hazard in many actual topics. For example, science. Nowadays, in science, someone can just spend with enough resources, but someone can spend a year of their monthly salary and actually create a deadly disease, right? So that's actually hazard. So I wouldn't allow it for everyone, but I would allow professionals and people who actually are aware of the risk and aware of what can be done and what should not be done to actually be able to access it and to be able to, you know, improve it and make it the best it can actually be.
Ava,
So
can I
that's-
ask you a question? Sorry.
Yeah.
Because you said professionals should, you know, be able to use this technology, but who would you define as a professional in this sense?
Well, I would define as a professional, someone who actually is informed about it. I wouldn't allow well, a 14-year-old student as myself to develop an AI that could potentially, you know, steal information from people and, you know, destroy the world, basically. So I would allow people with I know, who actually went to college, who actually have a degree, who actually have years of experience and who actually know about the subject. Who didn't, you know, some people just, you know, they read one article about a robot, they think they are better than professionals about AI, right? So I wouldn't allow those people to actually do things that can actually harm not only them but also a lot of people. So I would allow people who actually have years of experience, to actually be able to do something about a subject that they know. Because if we leave such a complex subject, such a hard and subject to understand to people who don't understand it, it can actually lead to really bad consequences.
Could I just add to that briefly? I think it's interesting what you're saying. I think parts of it I agree, parts of it I disagree. It does, your point about like being college educated does bring up an interesting question about class divide, and I guess like the accessibility of AI and who should be able to have it and who shouldn't. And even I think it's interesting, like ChatGPT is like very helpful in school, and that's not me. My ChatGPT does not do my work, but more so like it can really help you kind of generate ideas. Even for teachers, I know that some of my teachers like use it to generate prompts in class. In English class, we use it to kind of to help us work to like generate images. So yeah, I do think it's interesting to kind of have to find a balance between limiting it only to professionals, but also allowing it to be accessible and like reach its full potential in terms of how it can help people. And one more thing, the meeting ends in 6 minutes. So when it does end, I'm just gonna resend a link through email so you guys can just quickly rejoin it. Yeah.
Or you can put it in the chat now, and we can.
Okay, yeah,
or
I'll do
whenever
that.
you have it, and then you tell us and we move.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's super interesting what I'm hearing, because it feels like some AI systems we should limit their use, but maybe not for others, right? So what I'm hearing is that maybe we should look at the risk of the AI system, and if it's low risk, I don't know, like ChatGPT, you would let people use it and get familiar with the technology and other things. But if it's high risk, like something that can help you create, you know, bioweapons or something, or you know, then maybe you should limit the use of that system to professionals, or to create some form of licensing system, like cars today, right? Like you need a license, and for bigger cars you need bigger license, and for faster cars, you know, so some and this is what governments are talking about today. So it's nice to hear that you're also thinking about this. Here I just put some options that are on the table today. For instance, in 2019 we started with principles, ethical principles, and voluntary codes of conduct, and that's a good start, but it's not enough, because you cannot enforce a lot of things, right? So you need regulation, you need laws, you need, as you were saying, you need to implement a system that if someone is doing bad things, you can go after them legally, right? So there is public policies and regulation. That's another option, and that's what countries are doing now as well. There are industry standards, because even if you have regulation, how do companies implement that regulation? Because sometimes it's just written in legal terms. And Clementine, don't hesitate to stop us and tell us to move.
Okay, I'll give you like 2 more minutes and then I'll just interrupt you and send it. I made the link, so yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So we need industry standards to help companies abide by the regulation, by the policies. And then we also need some kind of like measurement tools, monitoring tools, to define also what we were saying right now, you know, like which AI systems should we actually regulate? Which AI systems are low risk, medium risk, high risk? or which AI systems should we ban altogether, right? So like for instance, in Europe now we're banning social scoring. We're not allowing people or companies or banks or governments to use AI to score people based on how they behave, for instance, right? So like I know this, people say that this has been implemented in China. If you're jaywalking, your social score would be decreased, so that the banks would know and the banks would not lend you money, you know. So it's quite complex, quite a complex phenomenon. So just going to give some examples here. These are the OECD AI principles that were published, adopted by countries in 2019 already. As I said, the nice thing about it is that there are like 10 commandments, you know, that everyone agrees with, basically. You know, AI systems need to benefit people and the planet. They need to respect human rights. They need to be transparent, explainable, secure, safe, and so on. And so it's nice to have this kind of list. But then what do we do about it? How do we implement it? How can governments enforce them, right? So, and that's when we move to regulation. And if you go to OECD.ai, and I encourage you all to visit OECD.ai and explore it and play with it. We have a database of over 1,000 policies from 70 countries on what governments are doing now to limit the risks and benefit from AI as much as possible. So I think this is the largest repository in the world of AI policy, of course. So I encourage you to visit OECD.ai, also because the other thing that I mentioned, monitoring. How do we monitor these things? How do we monitor how countries implement the principles? Well, we're doing that as well. Here I see the link. We should
Yeah,
move.
I just sent in the link. So you can
Okay.
finish up your sentence and then we can all move over.
My sentence is, see you on the other side.
Okay, great. See you guys in 30 seconds.
Uses AI.
Yeah.
Well, I have a specific version of Duolingo who actually uses AI, GPT-4 or 5, I believe, in a very pretty fun way. So it actually makes role plays, which means that you can, if you want, I can show you right now. So,
Sure.
wait. So here it is. So here's GPT AI Duolingo Max using GPT-4, and so what you do is that, look, so it gives you basically a prompt, and you have to talk about it. And then actually it reacts to what you say. For example, tú querías patatas, por favor. ¿Qué es tu plato favorito? Let's say this. Okay.
¿Y qué quieres beber?
Okay. I mean, my accent isn't the best one, obviously, but you know.
No, it's pretty good.
Un coca. ¿Usted tiene un orangina, por favor?
So basically, it's a conversational agent that
Yeah, exactly.
adapts
And
to
it actually,
your
yeah, it adapts, and it can also, you know, it gives you actual advice on it, you know. So it can, not only does it react and does it actually base itself on what you actually say, it also gives you advice on it. So I think that's really
amazing.
cool.
That's a great application that I honestly I didn't know about it. So thanks for showing it to us.
Welcome.
Maybe you can help me learn Portuguese or something. Yeah.
You should try it. It's really fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I won't take much longer of your time. Maybe just 4 or 5 minutes. So I was just showing you how we're trying to monitor AI developments and provide data to governments, because governments, when they make decisions, they kind of need data to make them. And that's what we're trying to do with OECD.ai. So we have a lot of data on AI jobs, AI research, Google Trends, and all these things. But we also monitor incidents. And this is what I wanted to show you before, because you saw the chart with the incidents. And why do you think we need to monitor them? Yeah, Sophia,
Oh, well, I wanted to say, well, you have to know which like AI like tools are problematic. Like for example, since well, you only talked about one incident with the AI cars, but like if there's multiple of those happening, then you think, well, okay, we should probably have like a policy for that, like one of the licenses that you said, or like maybe like people who have one of those cars should have like a crash course, or like they should understand. Well, that sounded like a pun, but like they should understand what they have to do in those situations, and they have to, they can't let the car drive around without them inside and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, well, exactly. We need so I see a couple of things. So basically, we need to learn from past mistakes, right? If we don't want to repeat them, of course, but we also need to, and this is what we were saying also before, we need data to identify those AI systems that are high risks, that pose high risks to people and to societies. For instance, facial recognition. Most of these things depend on the context, right? Facial recognition, if you use it for your phone to unlock your phone, it's wonderful. But if they use it to monitor you at work or to survey societies, then probably that's violating privacy and other things, which is probably not good. So we need all this evidence to make decisions, and policy, as Sophia said. Why don't I show you in real time, so you can go, if you're interested, you can go to OECD.ai/incidents. It's quite easy, OECD.ai/incidents, and you're gonna see something like what you're seeing now. I think you're seeing my screen, right? The browser, yeah. And so here you have real-time data on incidents as reported by media outlets. Here we're talking about AI posing risks to humanity. We go back to catastrophic risk and other things. Let me see. Oh, this one about killer robots. The one that we saw before about monitoring network. So anyway, you can play with this. There are a lot of filters. You can do search for, like, I don't know if you know someone called Taylor Swift. You can search for Taylor Swift and find incidents related to Taylor Swift. Like terrifying Taylor Swift social media filter. Taylor Swift falls victim to deepfakes. So you can play with it. I'm sure you can find the incident about the Pope as well. So I'm gonna, let me see. And so I'm gonna end with this now. This is the end of my presentation. I'm also gonna show you the other side of the coin, because if it's nice to look at incidents, it's nice to look at bad examples. It's also very important to look at the good things and what the good things people are doing, good practices. And we have that right here. If you go to tools and metrics, we have a catalog of tools where we basically collect the things that people are developing or creating that can help us build AI systems that are trustworthy or use them in the right way, right? So if we go to tools, I'll just give you one example. So let's say we were speaking about autonomous vehicles. Let's just say I'm a developer of autonomous vehicles, and I need to make sure they're safe. So I'm just gonna say I'm a technical profile, and here is like Amazon, like going shopping for tools. So you can just filter things out. I said safety, right? So I want cars to be safe. And let me see, transport here to make sure we're in the right sector. So here what I get is a list of tools that can help me build safer cars, safer autonomous vehicles. I'm just going to open one of them. Let's see, for instance, this one, traffic rules violation detection system. So I go here and I'm going to get all the information related to this tool. So you can see how this tool helps you or your car recognize different objects, how you can implement the code, the architecture. You have all the information here to do it and to do it yourself. So I just wanted to show those things, those two tools that are fundamental to the work we do. So not only the bad examples, but also the good examples, because we think we should also enable people to do it right and to get it right. And I think with that, we'll end my presentation. I hope it was not too boring, and it was a little bit informative to you. And I don't know if there are any questions.
It was very interesting. Thank you. I actually do have a question. I had two questions. One, first of all, is there, like you specifically, do you work in a specific sector within the OECD, like working with AI? I guess something in particular. And then also, can you foresee how your job might change or like be shaped by the advancement of AI and how that might look in the future?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I'm working in the Science, Technology, and Innovation Directorate at the OECD, and I'm working for the AI unit. We do a lot of work trying to track all these developments in AI and to help governments, advise governments on the way to go, the possibilities, basically, what they could do. And it's nice to say that we use AI for AI. Some of these tools are using AI already. For instance, the incidence monitor, we're using AI to find incidents, to classify them in an automatic way. How do I see my role evolving? Well, it's already evolving. You mentioned ChatGPT. At the OECD, we do a lot of policy analysis. We write a lot of reports, and ChatGPT can, it can, for instance, for those of us who are not native English speakers, it could copy edit your text, right? It could do a lot of things. So the tasks are already evolving. I don't think it's going to be a replacement, but the idea is that AI is not competing with humans. The idea is that AI enhances humans, and that's how we should see it, and that's how we should use it.
Thank you. That was very well put. Does anyone else have any questions before we finish up the meeting?
I have a question. So, from what I understand, like the OECD sort of advises countries and governments on like policies to like put in their countries. So, what are some policies regarding AI that are already like put in place, for example, in like European countries?
Right. So in Europe, it's interesting because they're approving now. They're discussing the EU AI Act, which is regulation, and what they're doing is, funny enough, what we concluded with the meeting today. It took us 45 minutes to do what they did in 2 years. I'm just kidding, but what they're doing is they're taking this risk-based approach to AI, where they look at the different types of AI systems, and they devise different policies for each type. So if it's low risk, you don't have to do much. If it's medium risk, you have to provide transparency requirements, like a chatbot. You need to let people know in Europe, if they're using your chatbot, you need to let them know that this is an AI system. This is not a human. You cannot deceive them. So there are disclosure requirements for high risk systems. There are many other proposals for policy and requirements, like they need to disclose the data that they use to train the system. They need to allow for audits, again, transparency requirements and other things. So those are some policies that are already being enacted. Now that's to minimize risks. At the same time, some other policies that are meant to increase the benefits are things like increasing investments in AI development, or giving subsidies to companies developing AI, or providing, removing visa requirements for AI experts so that they can come to your country and work and improve your labor force in that way. So all these things, governments are thinking, outside the box and about all the possibilities to make sure we're making the most of this technology.
Does anyone else?
Oh, wait, I actually have another question.
Okay.
Sorry. In like the cameras, like surveillance cameras, like for example, that we see in Paris, like I don't know, like outside of schools or whatever, do they have facial recognition, like not in a sort of a social credit system way where you like take away and give points for like actions, but like if someone commits a crime, like is there like facial recognition so that you know who is guilty, or like
That's one of the most sticky points in the regulation in Europe today. Biometric indicators and stuff. Some of them do have the capability, facial recognition capabilities. The thing is, what I think what discussions are leading to right now is to allow facial recognitions after the fact. So that means if something happens, you take the recordings and you do facial recognitions on those, but not live, because that's violating privacy. But again, this is contextual, and I know that the French Supreme Court just approved the use of facial recognition basically in real time during the Olympic Games, because it's considered a high risk context, high risk event. So for certain events, they allow for it, but it's supposed to be exceptional.
thank you, that's really interesting.
I just have a small question, sorry. Because you mentioned how AI is classified under, say, medium risk and low risk and high risk, etc. How is that determined? And well, who determines it?
So right now there is no systematic way of doing it. That's why we're providing. That's why we built the monitor, right, to collect the data and say, look, you're saying that this system is high risk, but we don't see any incidents. Or the other thing, like, so for that one, it's too early to regulate, or maybe you're not considering this other system, but look at how many incidents it's causing around the world. So what we're proposing here is to use evidence, to use data to come up with the list of high risk, medium risk, low risk systems, at the very least to inform that list, because right now it's being done by experts, which is fine, but the problem is that if we need to update it every year, maybe AI evolves faster than every year, so we need to keep it up to date very frequently. So we need a system to do so.
Maybe we should use AI to determine if AI is bad.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's more or less what we're doing with the monitor, right? Use AI to monitor AI.
Also, I had a question, which is more of personal question. Do you guys take internships at the OECD? Because
Yes, we do.
oh, you do. So how could I apply for an internship here?
There is a central application process. I think if you go to OECD careers, you can send your application and your CV, and we take from there. But you can also, and I don't know from what age they take interns. I thought it was college, but maybe not. I don't know. But what people have done is, you have this 2 weeks that you can work somewhere. I don't know the French system very well, but I understand some schools offer like you need to find a project and work somewhere for 2 weeks, and that's something that I've seen younger people do at the OECD. So if you're interested in that, you can shoot me an email or something. My email address is very easy: luis.aranda@oec.org. Now, I guess you can't put this recording online now because it's personal information. Just kidding. You can cut it.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, my brother did an internship at the OECD like a couple of years ago when he was in like seconde or troisième, I don't know. So yeah, you can definitely do that. And also, I have a question for a friend. She asked me like what requirements you needed for working in the OECD, and if it's only accessible if you study stuff like you did, like economics, or like, because she really likes, like, she's interested in it, so she, yeah.
Yeah, I think the profile, I think we get all kinds of profiles. There are a lot of economists, but also a lot of lawyers. We don't have a lot of engineers. I'm an engineer myself, so we don't have a lot of engineers, but I guess we're more and more we're hiring data scientists and others. So the profile, it could be anything as long as you're working and you're interested in the right topics, and of course you're good at it.
Okay. Thanks. I'll tell her that. I mean, I think we've kind of gone over the time. So I don't know if anyone has any more questions, but otherwise, we don't want to take more of your time. Like,
I have a question for you all. Have you had dinner?
my dinner is right here.
Ah, okay. I'll let you finish it then. Thank you so much for joining tonight, and great meeting you.
Yeah, thank you so much to everyone who came,
Thank you
to
so
everyone
much
who
for the
contributed.
talk.
Thank you so much for presenting. And if you guys have any feedback, either positive or constructive, please shoot me an email. I'd like to, of course, have more co-ed talks, hopefully within the next coming months. So any feedback is greatly appreciated.
Yeah. And thank you, Luis. It was very good.
Yeah, it was
Thank
really
you.
interesting.
Thank you for inviting me. Take care. Good night.
Yeah, good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much.